Welcome to our podcast. Great that you are with us again. Today we talk about a topic everyone knows and hears every day.
Hi from me too. We are happy that you are listening.
Today's topic is the weekend. More exactly, how to speak about the weekend in English.
Maybe you know this situation. It is Monday morning. You are at work, at school, or in a language class. Everyone slowly returns to normal life.
People say good morning. They grab a coffee. And then you often hear one special question.
The question is, how was your weekend?
Or also, what did you do on the weekend?
You hear this question everywhere, at work, in the office, in class, even with neighbors.
Still, many English learners feel nervous about this question. The first thought is, oh no, I must use the past. I can't do that.
Yes, I know that feeling well. Others also miss the right words. I was the same before. I often lacked words, and so I felt unsure when speaking.
That is why we make this podcast. We show you step by step how to handle these moments with ease.
In this podcast, you learn all the key sentences you really need. No hard examples, only lines you can use right away.
We use simple words and clear structure. This way you can understand and remember the lines easily.
Here you do not just learn single words. You learn phrases and questions and how to use them in real life.
Stay with us until the end. There we give you tips for an easy weekend routine.
Before we talk about our weekends, let's first be clear what the weekend is.
Yes, good idea. The weekend is the days at the end of the week.
For most people, the weekend starts on Saturday.
And it ends on Sunday.
So Saturday and Sunday belong to the weekend.
The other days, Monday through Friday, are work or school days for many people.
On the weekend, many people are off. That means they do not work or go to school.
Off means you have time for yourself.
Time to rest, for friends, or for family.
Some people still work on the weekend. For them, Saturday and Sunday are normal work days. They are off on other days.
Yes, for example, people in hospitals, in restaurants, or in grocery stores. Many of them also work on weekends because these places are always needed.
In hospitals, patients need care even on Saturday and Sunday. Sickness and emergencies never take a weekend.
In restaurants, many staff work on weekends because many people have time then to eat out. Their workday often starts when others have free time.
It is the same in grocery stores. Many people shop on weekends, so the stores must be open.
For these workers, the weekend looks different. They work when others rest and relax on other days.
They still talk about the weekend. It is not only about free time, but about the days Saturday and Sunday.
And that is why everyone can talk about their weekend, no matter if they worked or not.
You can say, for example, I worked on the weekend. Or, I had a hospital shift.
Or, I worked in the restaurant and was tired in the evening. These are normal weekend sentences too.
Yes, I can imagine that.
When you hear this, you notice a big gap to weekdays. During the week, our normal day looks very different.
Yes, during the week we work a lot together. We plan lessons, prepare episodes, and talk with learners.
As teachers, we must think ahead a lot. We ask, what do the learners need? What truly helps them?
And as podcast hosts, we plan topics, write scripts, and record episodes. That is fun, but it is also work.
During the week, we often have fixed times, meetings, recordings, preparation.
I must be honest. I am glad I do not work on weekends. After a long week, it feels good to be truly off.
Yes, I feel the same. Free means I set no alarm and have no fixed plan.
Not setting an alarm means you can sleep in. That means you get up later and start the day very calm.
Exactly, and the weekend then feels different from the week. You have more time for yourself.
For me, that means I can be slower. I do not need to perform like during the week.
Now I really want to know about your weekend. Mike, how was it for you? What did you do on Saturday and Sunday?
My weekend was very quiet. On Saturday, I stayed home almost all day, read, and cleaned a bit. It was nice to have no time pressure.
That sounds like a calm start to the weekend. Sometimes it feels good to stay home and plan nothing.
On Sunday, I went for a walk in the morning because the weather was good. After that, I cooked and spent the afternoon quietly.
For me, it was very different. On Saturday, I went out and met friends. We stayed out late in the evening and had a lot of fun.
That sounds like an active weekend. After such an evening, you are often tired the next day.
That is exactly how it was. On Sunday, I slept in, had a slow breakfast, and started the day calmly. I needed a bit of time to get my energy back.
You can see well how different a weekend can be. Mine was quiet and yours was more lively.
Exactly. The weekend is often so important because the week is very full. Many people work or study from Monday to Friday and have little time for themselves.
Yes, during the week, daily life is often stressful. You get up early, go to work or school, and have many appointments.
Appointments are fixed times, for example, for work, meetings, or classes. You cannot just move them.
Exactly. And that is why many people look forward to the weekend. Then you have more free time.
Free means you can decide yourself what to do. You do not have to start working at once.
I look forward on the weekend to being slower. I can sleep longer and start the day more calmly.
It is similar for me, but I also look forward to seeing friends. During the week, that often does not work because everyone is tired.
Being tired means having little energy. You know that well after long work days.
On the weekend, you have time to do things that have no space in the week.
For example, cook, take a walk, or simply do nothing.
Doing nothing is important too. That means you have a break and no plan.
That is exactly what helps you get new energy for the next week.
That is why so many people ask on Monday about the weekend. It is something personal, but also something shared. Since we talk about weekends, I also wonder how they were before. Mike, what were your weekends like back then?
Before, my weekends were very different from today. I often went out and was on the move almost every weekend. I was really home only to sleep.
That sounds like a lot of energy. So parties were an important part of your weekend.
Yes, very. Back then, partying meant meeting friends, listening to music, and staying up late. We often went out at night and came home very late.
Going out means leaving the house and meeting outside, for example, in a bar or club.
Exactly. That was important to me back then. I wanted to experience a lot and meet new people.
And how was the Sunday after that?
Most times I was very tired. I slept long and started the day slowly. Sometimes I said, "Today I do nothing."
Many people know that after a long night. Sunday is then rather quiet.
Yes, Sunday was for resting. Resting means getting strength again.
Today your weekend is very different from before. That is really interesting. I still remember my youth. Today your weekend is very different from before. That is really interesting. Mine was also different back then, but in another way.
Tell me, how was your weekend back then?
In the past, I did something with my family almost every weekend. During the week, we had little time for each other, so the weekend was special.
I can understand that well. In the week, a lot is going on, and you don't see each other often.
Exactly. On the weekend, we ate together or went out. Sometimes we took short trips.
Short trips are small journeys, for example, to a park, into nature, or to another city.
Yes, those were not big trips, but it was time together. For me, the weekend was therefore very important.
Important means it had a big place in life.
During the week, it was about school and work. On the weekend, it was about family and quiet.
That shows well why many people look forward to the weekend.
Yes, because then you have time for things that are missing in the week.
Before it was family and shared time for you.
Exactly. Even today, the weekend is something special for many people.
No matter if with family, friends, or alone.
The main thing is you can switch off and step out of daily life for a moment.
Switching off means you do not think about work or appointments.
And that is exactly what makes the weekend so valuable for many.
We now have a small question for you, just out of curiosity.
And because it is perfect to practice English.
Tell us what you do on the weekend. That way you use exactly the words we just talked about.
This is a very good exercise. You think for a moment, form a sentence, and use English in daily life.
You do not need to explain anything or write perfectly.
One simple sentence is enough. For example, on the weekend, I stay at home.
Or, on Saturday I meet friends or my family.
If you want, write your sentence in the comments.
This way you practice writing, but also thinking in English.
And you notice, that is not hard at all.
Exactly, these small exercises help you become more confident. If you want to talk about the weekend, start very small. You don't need a long story, just one clear thought. One simple sentence is often perfect.
Yes, many think they must tell every detail, but that is not true. For a start, it is enough to say if the weekend was calm or active.
A good trick is to recall only 3 things: Saturday, Sunday, and one feeling. Often you need nothing more.
For example, on Saturday I stayed home. On Sunday I met friends. My weekend was nice.
It also helps to start with the time word. On the weekend, on Saturday, or on Sunday, give instant direction.
This way the listener knows at once when something happened, and you already have the first part of the sentence done.
Another tip is repetition. The weekend returns every week, and so do the questions.
Exactly. That is a big chance. Each week you can use the same lines and change only one word.
For example, this weekend I was at home. Last weekend I was out.
Or, on Saturday I worked. On Saturday I relaxed. The structure stays the same.
It is also very helpful to write the weekend down briefly. Not much, just 1 or 2 sentences.
You can do that on Sunday evening or Monday morning. This way you prepare calmly for talks.
You can also speak out loud when you are alone. That helps you feel surer.
Yes, just say the sentences out loud. For example, while cooking or walking.
Another trick is to be honest. You do not need to make it nicer than it was.
If you did nothing, then say so. That is also a completely normal sentence.
For example, I stayed home and did nothing special.
Or, I rested. Many people say that.
It is also important not to compare yourself. Everyone has a different weekend.
Some party, others stay at home. Both are fine and both can be said.
Also, listen to how others speak about their weekend. This way you learn new words on the side.
For example, at work or in a language class, people often use similar sentences.
And you can remember exactly those lines and use them later yourself.
One more tip, do not fear mistakes. Talking about the weekend is a chat, not a test.
If someone understands you, that is the most important thing.
And with each weekend, it gets easier.
Because practice comes automatically. That is exactly why it helps to make your own word list. These are words you need again and again when you talk about your weekend.
This list does not have to be long. Often 10 or 15 words are enough that fit well with your life.
Many people do similar things on the weekend. They stay home, meet friends, work a bit, or rest.
When you know these words, you don't have to think each time. The words are already in your head.
You can also learn these words by heart. By heart means you repeat them so often that they come automatically.
That is not an old method, but very practical. You learn exactly the words you really use.
For example, words like at home, out, work, party, or relax.
Or meet friends, visit family, sleep in, take a walk.
When you know these words, you can speak about yourself very easily.
And that is what matters. You do not learn English only from books, but through your own life.
Because talking about yourself is something you need every day.
At first the sentences are short, but with time they get longer.
And you notice, I keep telling similar things.
That is exactly why this word list is worth it. It grows slowly together with you.
A talk about the weekend is not only answers. Asking questions is just as important.
Yes, when you ask, you share less and still show interest.
The easiest question is, how was your weekend?
You hear this question a lot on Monday. It is friendly and fits many moments.
You can ask a bit more exact. For example, what did you do this weekend?
Or, what did you do on Saturday? That is already more personal.
These questions are short and clear. You need no hard words.
It is important to speak calmly and give the other person time.
If the answer is short, you can ask again.
For example, were you at home or out?
Or, was your weekend more quiet or more active?
These questions help keep the talk going.
You do not need to be perfect. Simple questions are totally fine.
Often people are happy when someone shows interest.
And while the other person talks, you hear new words.
That way you learn without extra work.
If you feel unsure, you can use the same questions again and again. Asking about the weekend often starts a real chat. One small question can open many doors.
Yes, suddenly you talk not only about the weekend, but about life.
For example, you ask, "How was your weekend?" And the other person says, "It was quiet."
Then you can ask, were you at home or out?
And now you are in the middle of the talk. The other person tells more and feels heard.
That is exactly what matters. A real talk starts when both show interest.
I remember a talk at work. I asked a coworker about her weekend.
And what happened next?
She said she visited her family. Then we talked about family and our childhood.
That happens often. You start with the weekend and end with memories.
And the nice thing is, the language stays easy. The topics get more personal, but the lines stay short.
I have felt that too. I ask someone about the weekend and suddenly we speak about hobbies.
For example, about sports, music, or cooking.
A talk grows all by itself.
This brings us slowly to the end of this episode. Thanks for spending time with us today.
Yes, thanks for listening. We hope you learned something and now feel surer talking about the weekend.
Remember, your sentences don't need to be perfect. The key is to speak and be brave.
Exactly, you learn English in daily life with small talks and topics that really matter to you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please also listen to our other shows.
Now we are curious. Which topic would you like to hear next?
Write us what you want to talk about more in daily life.
Work, family, vacation, feelings, or something very different.
We look forward to your ideas.
And of course, we are happy if you join us next time.
Thanks for listening.
See you in the next episode.
Take care.
Bye.